Hello there, fearfully and wonderfully made humans. Today on the show, I have the joy of introducing you to a cherished soul sister in Christ, whom I had the pleasure of meeting over a year and a half ago. From the moment we engaged in conversation, our connection was immediate, forging a bond of fast friendship fueled by our shared passions and beliefs. Dr. Andrea Hazim is a holistic health practitioner with over 25 years of experience in massage, fitness, nutrition, and chiropractic care. She holds degrees and certifications from the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, the University of Miami, Marble Arch in London, and Life University in Atlanta. Together with her husband, Dr. Jeff, Andrea has made it her mission to impact lives through a holistic approach that emphasizes body, soul, and spirit. They have created the Lessons for Healthy Living video series, run the New Life Chiropractic Wellness Center, and coached many people to achieve their health goals in areas such as longevity, marriage, and parenting. In 2015, Andrea co-founded the Elevate Life Educational Foundation to mentor and train young adults to step into their greatness and grow into social, emotional, and spiritual maturity. She is also a co-founder of Nourish the Nations, a contributing author to the book Unstoppable, Leverage Life Setbacks to Rebuild Resilience for Success, and holds certifications from the Center for Relationship Education, the Smalley Institute, and the Center for Serving Leadership. Known for her ability to help move people from their comfort zone to their mountaintop, Andrea has enjoyed speaking to audiences of varying demographics throughout her career. Dr. Hazim, thank you for being on the show.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That's like, I forgot some of those things.
Yeah.
Like a lifetime ago.
Hey, you left it up to me to do the bios.
Wow. I want a copy. That's very nice.
Yeah. So listen, first of all, let's just go and why don't you tell us a little bit about your personal story and the terms that led you to the profession that you're in today and like, what's your expertise?
You know, it's funny, as I was driving here, I was just praying and saying, God, I hope, everything you want highlighted comes out here today. And I started thinking about just that topic of mental health and how I dealt with mental health as a teenager, ignorant of any tools or any therapy or anything or parents who that wasn't in their genre.
Yep.
So back to those days, grew up, my father was an Italian immigrant. And his parents, they all immigrated to Harlem and then Brooklyn, and then we moved to Florida. And then on my mom's side, her father was from Syria. Her mother was from Sicily, like my father's side. So Italian, Middle Eastern, partly immigrant flavor, partly New Yorker Italian flavor.
I hear you. We were just talking about that with the boys back there.
Yeah. And, but I grew up in Florida. I was born in Brooklyn, but grew up in Florida. And 6 years old, my parents launched into a 10-year, very nasty divorce, hated each other. Oof. Didn't really hate each other, but
I knew.
Didn't know how else to express
hurt people.
Their frustration with each other, their resentments and unforgiveness. Mm-hmm. And we got caught in the crosshairs, casualties of war. Yeah. And it was war. So fast forward, I was 6, oldest of 3. My mom got remarried, got pregnant immediately. He left her pregnant after a year and a half of marriage. And that's a whole side story, my mom's story, but it did affect us,
Of course.
And then my father got married 3 more times.
Wow.
And I have to say those were like major blows because I was the oldest. I was like, he called me his bunny rabbit. My dad was a ballroom dancer. I was the one who danced with him all the time.
Oh, wow.
He was like Prince Charming in a way, and to just show up with these new wives. Well, here's your new stepmom.
Right.
You not care if she loves us or we love her.
Right.
But, so dealt with that. Plus my mother's hatred of him, infusing us with hate your father, pick my side. But I loved my dad and I loved my whole Italian immigrant. My grandma, Angelina, was like my mom because my mom and I always clashed.
Right.
And I would say the biggest challenge I had with mental health growing up was learning how to navigate living in my mother's home without being a mesh to who she was.
Yeah.
And the more I grew up, the harder that became.
Right.
To the point where I would literally take 2 Tylenol on my way home.
Wow.
because of the migraine I knew I was going to have from crying, maybe being smacked, being yelled at, being accused of things I never even occurred to me.
Yeah.
Like I had a sliding glass door in my bedroom that led to the pool, and she would tell me I was sneaking boys in.
Oh my goodness.
People do that.
Wow.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's harsh.
Might as well do that. Like she gave me the idea. But so that was really a hard emotional, mental environment to grow up in. I had to learn how to be a survivor mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
And then just watching their divorce, really when they divorced each other, I divorced them.
Wow.
And I felt, it sounds horrible, but I was like, you're an idiot and you're an idiot. You've been married 4 times. You've been married 2 times, and don't even think about giving me advice, or I would never even ask their advice.
Right.
So fast forward, that rebellion, that independence just led to a wrong choice for a marriage. Mm-hmm. It was a rebound situation from a great relationship that I married this guy that I was in chiropractic school with, and it became physically abusive very quickly. I was only in it for a year and a half, thank God. And, but I look back and I was like, thank God that it even happened, because I learned so much. Mm-hmm. And that's really where my identity began, was after that break, where I just, who am I? Right. How did I get here? Yeah. And from there, everything built. And now I've been married 25 years to an incredible man that I met actually on a mission trip in the country of Panama, adjusting hundreds of people.
Wow.
And banana plantations all over. I mean, it wasn't just us. It was 140 chiropractors flew in and went all over. And we happened to be on the same little village.
That's so cool.
As God would have it.
I didn't think I knew that.
Yeah.
But wow. So you actually, listener, everyone has the ability to go from that trauma, because healed trauma equals wisdom.
Right.
Right on. Right.
That's
and
right.
So, I mean,
I like how you say that.
The listener, if you've been listening to the previous pod, I'd share a little here and there, but because of this wisdom, and at a very young age, because some people just repeat the intergenerational cycle. And you said, no, I need to do the opposite. I need to learn how to heal. It's like someone in the family is always chosen. Like I realize that because we have the intergenerational stuff going on, and that's a big thing going on now. Like I have a lot of young second immigrant, just like me and you. Yeah. And it's such a at home you have this culture that you love and it's so rich and beautiful, and then you go to schools and turn on the TV in America, which I love my country. Okay, I was born in New York and raised in yeah, exactly. So we're Queens, but at the same time, it's like you're learning how to be, and then when you have emotional neglect or emotional abuse or physical abuse or whatever abuse, it's like you're trying to find where you are and who you are. So that being said, how did you end up getting into a healing road?
So interesting. Well, I fell in love with wellness and holistic health from the point of view of natural hygiene, actually. I watched an infomercial. Remember the infomercials back in the day? I was 16. I'll never forget it. Of Jay Kordich, the juice man.
Oh my gosh. Remember him? How old we are.
He was buff with the white eyebrows, juicing his carrot apple with his wife half his age and his kids all smiling, drinking juice. Back when nobody knew about juice, they just thought he was selling juicers. Yeah. And I literally was mesmerized and received like an impartation of my future from that infomercial. It was like electricity came out of his eyes, pierced my heart, and said, that's what you're going to do with your life. Not necessarily the health and the juicing part, but the fact that I knew he wasn't about selling juicers. He was about changing lives. Wow. And imparting truth to people and being courageous. I mean, and I said, that's what I'm going to do. I started reading. Well, first of all, it said at the end of the infomercial, come to hear Jay Kordich live in the Fort Lauderdale Convention Center. Call and reserve your seat. Absolutely free. I didn't even tell my family. I just went. Me and like 4,000 people in the Fort Lauderdale Convention Center. And do you know the product Juice Plus?
Oh, yeah.
Started by Smokey Santillo. That was before he had Juice Plus. What? He was on the stage with Jay Kordich with baggies of vegetable powder and fruit powder.
Wow.
And I'm 16 watching these guys like healthy, alive, caring about life. And that was
vitality. That's the word.
Started reading everything. And I started on that trajectory of like career, so to speak.
Okay.
But emotionally, and that's part of what I was thinking about in the car today. I think my biggest aha moment for mental health and drawing a line, like you were saying a minute ago, of how we stopped the generational thing was the topic of forgiveness.
Wow.
As opposed to hatred and judgment and unforgiveness. And all I saw in my family was that, my parents to each other. And I saw what it was doing to my mother. And I decided in my 20s, I'm not going to live like that.
Right.
And I went to a therapist.
Oh.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
I was
Especially
young.
Back then.
I was young,
Yeah.
and I'm like, nobody in my family had ever spoken about anything.
And did they find out and like put you down about it?
I never told anybody.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I was independent.
Okay.
I like I said, I divorced both of them.
Okay.
I'm my own person.
All right.
So I went to a therapist, and that therapist helped me understand. Back then, they didn't say enmeshment. They said, the therapist in particular said, you have emotional incest with your mother.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Can you, enmeshment or codependency is is a better term.
A little more modern term, a little cleaner. I'm like, what? She goes, well, you're telling me that you can't be happy unless you have to be happy for what she's happy for, and you have to hate who she hates. You have to literally match her. Ooh. I'm like, exactly. So I learned that, and I realized the biggest crux of her trying to put that on me was her hatred from my father.
Right.
So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then as I became a believer and started to have healing and my eyes be open, and my mom was the one who led everybody in my family to the Lord.
Wow.
So yes, she loved God, but she hated my dad.
Okay.
It was like a chamber locked shut in her heart. You know, when you look at blueprints and you see the different rooms.
Yes.
All for God.
Yeah.
That chamber called men.
Yeah.
Locked, festered into a brain tumor. And she died at 65.
Oh, wow.
Yep. 3 months before she died, she asked my dad to forgive her.
Wow.
For all the wasted years.
Wow.
It was a miracle.
I think I did see pictures. Or maybe I was at a women's conference and I remember, yeah.
I tell the story.
Because I think I bawled. Don't tell it anymore because I don't have tissues.
Okay. Well, anyway, so unforgiveness was such a big part of growing up. Sometimes in Italian homes, they judge people. They're sometimes prejudiced. There's a lot of those concepts that are thrown around, Right. And let me, no.
I want to ask you that too, because it's not just Italian. I just see it in different cultures.
Oh, sure.
As a therapist, you have pride, and it's like trying to balance. I'm Latina, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Colombian, and having the pride, I don't need anybody else. But it's also like, it's like I don't know.
I think it's insecurity and ignorance.
And emotionally stunted.
Yeah, right. And generational, like my parents' generation didn't read books. They didn't have podcasts. They didn't go to marriage conferences or know how to parent.
Right.
They only knew what came generationally.
Yes. And they came over here for the American dream. And I know with my mother, it's just like, no, like any kind of mushy stuff, then you're a weakling and they're going to eat you alive. So Diana, you get out there and you face that bully that's putting the knife through your throat. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I'm like, mommy, no quiero, mommy. Oh yeah. I mean, so I now, like, because we're healed from that stuff, I look back and I'm grateful because that's what's made me who I am. But when you are processing trauma, you have to go through stages, honestly, from being the victim for a little while. And this is what I hold for people in my office. It's like, no, I'm listening to you. I'm not, until they're ready to finally forgive what you're talking about. And then go to the next part from just surviving. Because a lot of us in traumatic experiences, right? Aren't we just like our heads above water? We're feeling a certain way. And this is why it's so important. This is where we're going to go to now, because it's important to take care of yourselves as you go through your experiences of healing, because that's why addiction starts. I really feel, because that pain, they can't hold the pain. And I know, because I could tell you the list of stuff that I did back in the day, but
That's self-medicating.
Yes.
With XYZ.
Yes. And it doesn't have to be
interesting. Yeah. I look back because I look at today's culture and the things they use to self-medicate. And I think, why didn't I do that? Because I did smoke pot in high school, but it was purely recreation, entertainment. We wanted to giggle,
Oh, not me, girlfriend.
And have munchies.
I was morning, noon, and night. I was high all day.
Well, but I did use the Tylenol, like I said, to self-medicate as a preventative. You know what I mean? I think, well, I could have easily done alcohol or pot. Why didn't I? And the reason why I went to therapy was because when I latched onto a holistic point of view,
that's it.
And I wanted to become a holistic doctor, I didn't want to be mastered by anything. I wasn't a coffee girl in the morning because I'm like, no way, no cup of coffee is going to master me and I'm a slave to it. Right. No, I'm not doing that. So I was very much in control person and I wanted always choices to be mine. I wanted to live by design, not by default. So I was not going to just, oh, I don't feel good, so let me do this to not feel good. I'd rather feel it and deal with it.
Amen.
So that, the Tylenol was a temporary kind of situation, but I was aware and looking at it.
Right.
Because by that point, I had gone to the seminar that turned me on to health. And I was reading, I was learning, and I couldn't, go backwards.
No. And that makes sense. So can you tell me like chiropractic care? Because I go to a chiropractor, but it's like a lot of people don't understand how integrative it is for mental health, like what it does. I mean, I try to explain it to people like, I'm like, do you have a chiropractor? And it's like, no, they're all shysters and they're going to keep you in an office and want to take your money. And I'm like, no, that's not if you find the right one. Because you can say that to any career. I don't care, acupuncture, even therapists, because there's some therapists that I know should not be there therapizing anybody.
Therapizing.
Like that?
Well,
so tell me about chiropractic care and nutrition, and what do you think like the audience needs to know of how to take care of their mental health? Because especially if they're going through a hard time right now.
Well, I always think about the components of a human, right? Mm-hmm. We live in a body. That's our vehicle. Mm-hmm. We have to take care of it. We get one. Exactly. We usually take care of our cars better than our body. And along with that body, I mean, there's so many systems, or, the vasculatory system, the respiratory system, the endocrine system, the muscular system, the nervous system.
Right.
And chiropractic is like nerve hygiene, just like the dentist is dental hygiene.
Right.
And everybody, well, I hope, brush their teeth at least twice a day. Why not? Because you don't want to have rotted teeth that are going to fall out of your mouth. And I see people who did not have good dental hygiene and they're sorry later on.
Yes.
They're really sorry because that's a very simple thing. Chiropractic is spinal hygiene. And what is inside your spine is your whole spinal cord and all the wires that go out to your whole body. So picture the circuit breaker box in your house, right?
Okay.
If a light goes out, now you're going to troubleshoot. Okay, is it the light bulb? Change a light bulb. No, it wasn't the light bulb. Is the click that you turn it on and off, is that faulty? Nope, it's not that. Maybe the wire. No, is it the outlet? Like you're going to go through all these things. Now I could change the bulb. I could do a lot of things, but if it's the problem at the circuit breaker where a fuse tripped and you have to go to the box and switch it back, that's a whole different story. And we will tend to treat symptom after symptom, thinking this or ignoring, putting a piece of tape over the oil light in your car. Yes, would you ever know? No. If the oil light came on, you would go change the oil because you need the car.
Right.
Or you're not going to work or you're not having a life. But we do that with our body. So in chiropractic, if you think about a map, have you ever seen the map of where there's like a person? And
yes. We're like computer.
Exactly.
We're like amazing. A computer, isn't it? Like the brain is like the motherboard.
Yes. And your neck, your top two bones, your atlas and your axis, they're so special, those ones. They have their own names. C1 is atlas. Okay. C2 is axis. Okay. And axis literally has a little bone up into C1 where C1 spins on it. And we chiropractors love, we have a model of the top two bones.
I've seen it.
Because the brain stem is in there.
Yeah.
Your medulla oblongata is all your cranial nerves, like your on-off switch.
Okay.
That's why, if you ever, I'm not a rabbit hunter, but people who catch rabbits and kill them, all they have to do is a little karate chop to the neck. Because what happened, that's why when people fall off a horse and they hit their head, it's called the dens. The little dens can break and push into your spinal cord. Either you die instantly or you're paralyzed from there down.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard of,
your equilibrium, your everything is all right there.
Right.
So, but then what about the rest? It's like a map.
Right.
So in our office, we would have patients have all kinds of incredible, spontaneous health changes, benefits, healing, pregnant when they couldn't get pregnant. And they'd say, could this have to do with the fact that I get regular chiropractic? We're like, absolutely. And we would take them to the little map and we'd say, see this nerve going over here to your ovary or your womb or your hormones regulating your ovaries. There was interference. The circuit breaker was squishing it.
Yes.
Now, is it totally turned off? No, but it's like a dimmer switch and the body's so amazing that it will chug along, but at a low level.
Right.
Where chiropractic turns on the power to full bloom, because their interference is removed.
Right.
Now, are all chiropractors equal? No,
I know. I've been through a couple. A few.
Are all of them going to even care and be passionate about health and holistic healing? No, sadly.
Yes.
A lot of them are what we would call an ambulance chaser. And you'd go in there and they're not even adjusting your spine. They're putting cold packs, hot pack, every therapy because the insurance pays.
Right.
And that's not chiropractic.
No.
And you'll hear people say, I don't believe in chiropractic.
Exactly.
Like, it's not a belief. It's a science. If you say, I don't believe in gravity, and you go to your roof and you just throw yourself off because I don't believe in gravity, sorry, but you're going to smush on the ground.
I got to tell you, Dr. Hazim, I had my acupuncturist here. And he said the same exact thing.
About not believing in it?
Yeah, like a gravity. He said the cold gravity thing. Yes, that's what's freaking me out just now. I'm like,
it's true.
It is true.
I don't believe in gravity. Okay, and?
Right, exactly.
And doesn't really matter.
We could say that how some people say, I don't believe in God. Okay, fine. You don't have to, but it doesn't matter because look around you. Anyway, that's a whole different thing. Well, so I want to understand now, because you really know nutrition and I've heard you speak to the young people and how important it is for them to start understanding what they do to their cells, what they put in their system, what they're looking at, what they're listening to, what they're eating, and, movement. So tell me what you think about anxiety and depression.
When it comes to holistic, like the body part?
Yeah.
Because remember a minute ago, I was saying a human has the components. So body and then the soul and the spirit.
Yes.
And in our wellness center, we noticed for many years that why are some patients just turned on by truth, get excited. They'll come to our seminars. They'll get adjusted. They'll change their diet. They'll make all the changes that we're recommending to everybody.
Exactly.
And others, no.
Right.
And we really realized that it was because of that place in their soul or even a lack of being alive spiritually that was making all the difference because there's almost like a sense of it's not for me. Yeah. Like if I sent you mail, it's my mail. But if I sent this person mail that lived in your house, you wouldn't open their mail.
Right.
And it was almost as if, well, that's not for me because it was just a very interesting phenomenon. So I always start with identity and really asking and helping somebody because I can't put it on somebody. They have to discover it for themselves, that they have self-worth, that they're valued, they matter, their words matter, their life matters. They're here for a reason to lock into that purpose so they can make an impact in their life, their family, and that ripple effect. So I always try to go there. But, when I'm dealing with talking about the body or holistic health for the body, as opposed to maybe those other categories specifically, it helps to just illuminate truth. And sometimes I like to scare people a little bit, Oh, you should see me with I have 3 sons. My youngest 20, he still lives at home and he's got the worst posture ever.
Oh, please don't tell me you're straighten up.
No, this is my code.
Because
which this means you look like an 80-year-old man hunched over and you can't even hold your head up.
Okay, now
your spine is so weak. This is him at the dining room table. Eating like this.
Yeah.
The weight of your head can't even sit over your spine right now.
Right. Oh my gosh. No, I have to.
It's a problem.
I know.
So we have a whole thing between us. All I have to do is go like that. But I do trainings for young people, right?
Yes.
We did this super fun activity. I try to engage them,
Yeah.
And we took the little round circle dots that you would use for like a garage sale. And I put a chart in their workbook that chiropractors use, postural analysis chart.
Okay.
And they get with a buddy and they had to analyze their buddy's posture with the stickers. So they had to put one on the mastoid, one on the shoulder, one on the hip, one on the knee, one on the ankle.
Okay.
Side view and then front view. And draw the dots, like graphing in math. They loved it, but they were amazed. They saw their heads sticking forward like
that's
turtles.
Because of these things.
That's
so
right.
Tech neck here. Tech
it's
neck.
a thing.
It is.
Tech neck. Look it up.
Yeah. And then the x-ray. I saw the x-rays of some of these kids where they're like their bone it's like a knob or
it's very bad.
It is bad. It's okay. So it's not only bad for their posture, but what it's doing mentally.
Mentally, how about like your hormones, your everything, you oxygen. So I had one of my alumni, she's like 24 now. She called me up yesterday because they know I do ballet fitness, which is like incorporate stretching and Pilates. Like it's incredible for core and posture.
Yeah.
And she's like, can I come over and do ballet with you? I'm like, yeah. So when she gets there, she goes, oh my gosh, my mom took me to a chiropractor in Miami and he took x-rays. And he said my spine was like an 80-year-old. I'm like, oh,
ouch.
You got scared. Good. Very good. I want those x-rays. I'm going to show them around.
Yeah.
She goes, he said my neck was a pole and our neck's supposed to be a C.
Okay.
So if you're looking at me side view, you would see a C shaped this way.
Right.
It's supposed to be a little bit back.
Okay.
She was like, I was always wondering why I have a double chin. It's because her neck was forward from tech neck. And then the shoulders and then
exactly. Well, it's not only tech neck. Well, I guess it is, but there's so many people after the pandemic that I work from home now. Like, honestly, I am on a computer all day long. So for those that are listening that are web developers or inside, what kind of advice can you give us?
You have to have the correct ergonomics, which is a fancy word to say your workstation should be posture enhancing.
Okay.
So the screen should be eye level.
Okay.
Put it up on a riser.
Uh-huh.
If you're working from a laptop, get an external monitor.
Okay.
Get an HDMI cord and put the monitor there.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to look down at a screen, a laptop, because you can't have this kind of setup, then you have to do things to reverse the curve to normal and strengthen your muscles.
Okay.
Back, core, anything core and neck related. Practice, like my husband and I went on a walk in the neighborhood the other day and he works a lot too. And he has like a lap desk, which is the worst, but now he sees my station. So he's all inspired. So he set up himself like that too. But sometimes you just can't help it.
No,
You're on an iPad or whatever. And we're walking. I said, honey, walk with your hands like behind your back, like a British gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I think they did that in the day because they literally had such good posture.
Yes.
I don't know if you're like Downton Abbey, but I love like all that.
I'm watching Call the Midwife right now.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Oh, girl, it's good. Even my husband likes it. Yeah. Sorry. Back to America, away from England.
Yeah, I know, but I watched the behind the scenes, and they would have these specialists that were telling the history. And chairs, the backs of chairs were meant for the footman to push your chair in.
Oh,
nobody. See how I'm sitting? Nobody.
Should be leaning back.
Nobody sat like this.
Oh.
And that's why I tell my son, you're sitting on your back. Mm-hmm. You're not sitting on your sit bones.
Okay.
Sit on your sit bones. Let your spine, don't do the,
So, okay. So let's go back to, because to me, like for mental health, I do a lot of somatic healing, which means like logically, things that you should be doing. You were talking about that earlier, like, you're learning this new stuff, but you're not doing anything. And I realized after a few years of researching and understanding and having the population that I take care of, what happens is that shame and guilt comes in. They're logically knowing I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I'm getting this information and they're stuck. And it turns out quite a few, because they haven't dealt with the childhood trauma or their central nervous system gets on and now they're dysregulated. So I tell them different things to do, like go get chiropractic care, get a massage, understand how to take care of your cells, because listen, they can't sleep. So guess what? They wake up in the morning and they have the donut and 3 cups of coffee, and now their anxiety's through the roof. And now they're going to a doctor, and the doctor's giving them anti-anxiety medicine, anti-depression medicine, antipsychotic medicine. And now here we are.
Eventually diabetes medicine for all that sugar.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then heart, high blood pressure medicine. And so by the time they're our age, honestly, I have some clients and they have 7 different orange bottles by there. And medication has its place. Last resort, not the first. It takes work to get through the mental anguish that someone's going through. You have to feel it to heal it. So all that being said, what advice or understanding can you give the listener to encourage them, maybe an intern that's going into either chiropractic care or to become a therapist, on how to treat others or what to learn or whatever comes to your head that you can encourage our listener?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Because for years when we had our wellness center, we would see, like I was saying earlier, why do some people catch on and close that knowing doing gap and others don't? And there's a book title I always think about when we're talking about a topic like this. And the book title says, if how-tos were enough, we would all be skinny, rich, and happy.
Ooh, wow, that's a book?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll link it in. I'll link it to the show notes.
Yeah, if how-tos were enough, because you could find a how-to on everything.
Oh, I mean, look at YouTube.
TikTok. Out of this and it condensed.
Right.
So why is a how-to not enough? And that brings me to identity and self-worth. And then that brings me to, like what you were saying, they get excited, they learn something new. And when we produced our DVD series, the Lessons for Healthy Living, we would run them in the office waiting room. Oh, cool. So as patients came, they would get to watch an episode, or if they were on a whatever, they would be listening or watching while they were doing something. And, they would really get excited, but overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's it.
Because,
the personality.
It's everything. It's the water. It's the blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Like, I get it.
Right.
But do one thing this month.
Exactly.
Well, I'm sure you said that.
Yeah.
One thing.
One. And it doesn't have to be some huge thing where you need to go.
Yes.
That's it costs too much money. Oh, go ahead, please.
Oh, my goodness.
Preach it for that one.
Really?
It costs too much money for the gym, for the food, for this, for that. I hear that a lot because they're like, I can't afford. I'm like, well, you can't afford not to.
But people afford Starbucks every day, $7, $8. They afford their vapes. People afford what they want to afford.
Exactly.
I'd rather fast and do something that I need and eat less food because in America, we're starving from overindulgence.
Yes.
That's my husband's quote.
Wow.
Starving from overindulgence.
Explain it.
We don't have diseases of deficiencies like Africa.
Right.
We have diseases of excess from obesity, from gluttony, from over everything.
Yeah.
Like if something tastes good, what does the world and culture say? Have it every day.
Right.
Did you ever see Super Size Me?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's when
example.
I stopped. That's exactly when I stopped. That was a long time ago. Yeah. And that's when I said, I'm stopping fast food after watching that. And I was done.
Have your young clients watch out, not just for the content of it, of not having XYZ one company's food.
I'm not a nutritionist. I'm a therapist. So I can't put guilt and shame on people that are coming to me with guilt and shame. I have to really slowly.
Education?
Yes, psychoeducational, but it's when they're ready. Because if I have so much tools, so many that I want to just,
well, maybe we should collaborate.
I know.
Send them over here. Send them back.
Maybe we should start a little something.
Because, and I'll just say this, I know we're running out of time.
I know.
The beverage situation alone.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time. I've taught in schools. I see what they do on the breaks. They go up to the Starbucks in the school. I mean, it's not that name, but they're just loading up on these mocha frappuccino latte, blah, blah, like 2,000 calorie drink.
And sugar, what sugar does to the brain alone.
So that's the coffee people or dessert in a glass people. What about the Red Bull, Monster, chemical? They're turning people into like Frankensteins. They have no idea what they're doing to their hormones, their system at all. They don't care either.
No, it's about the money.
My son's friends would come sleep over and they would have that in the fridge. I would throw it away.
Good.
I'm like, your parents are buying this by the case at Costco
because
for you?
They don't know. See, that's the thing. When you don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it.
Right.
You know.
Awareness creeps in and goes,
Well, and it's also realizing slowly, because honestly, that's one thing I do when someone comes in with super anxiety or super depressed. And I said, you're choosing me as your holistic therapist. You're going to listen. You're paying me this money. I need you to try this. Just try it.
They're so blessed that you look at it that way.
And thanks.
Not many therapists are like that. No. Like you're a rare gem.
Oh, you're just saying that because
that's why I send people to you.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Thank you for that.
But we're friends because I admire you. Yeah. I love what you do.
Well,
you stand
for
the
same girl, same. So basically, though, I try to put him on a gluten-free, sugar-free, and dairy-free for the first 2 weeks they work with me, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, little by little, I want you to be a curious observer of what you're putting in your system. You have 5 senses, and you have this choice now because you're paying me some money, and you're going to listen,
right?
And then I'm like, well, okay. And
what are you jonesing for?
Curious?
Right now?
Yes, write it down. Exactly. Like you have to be a curious observer of yourself and have an understanding of why you're doing what you're doing. Always ask why.
I always start with the beverages because that alone, like, I think it was in Super Size Me. You know how they do like the outtakes and they'll interview different people? I think it was in there. There was a taxi driver. He was obese, like, I don't know, 300 pounds, whatever. He said just stopping drinking soda.
Yes, I've heard of that.
He lost over 100 pounds.
Yeah.
One thing. So that's why I say,
one thing.
Start with one thing.
One. That's it. Until it becomes so natural to you. And then get another thing.
Here's a little tip about soda.
Okay.
The carbon bubble. So a lot of people get off soda, but then they go to like Perrier or carbonated. Yes. There's so many
mineral water.
Popular in a can. Yes. There's no sugar. That's great. It's better to transition, but it's not a lifestyle. The carbon bubbles attach to oxygen. So you're suffocating yourself slowly. Every can, all those bubbles are taking. You think we need oxygen in our blood? I think so. And we're basically binding the oxygen in our blood, every carbon bubble from every drink we take. And same with nicotine.
Yeah.
That's why you see aging on people.
Yes.
Dark rings, gray hair at young ages. I swore all that off as a teenager. Do you see gray hair? No. I don't dye my hair.
You don't?
Oh, no. I don't dye my hair. I mean, there's a few if you look.
No,
but I'm 55.
Yeah.
I should have mostly gray. I should have been dyeing my hair for 10 years already.
Right. I'm not gonna. I'm trying to get into that wisdom mentality after I shaved my head, but that's a whole different podcast.
Wow. Love to hear that one.
We will at lunch after this.
Okay, good.
You didn't know that? I shaved my head?
I think you did. Yes, I did know
September 2021.
I did know that.
22. September 2022.
Of you when you used to have longer hair.
When I had long hair. Yeah. True. So anyway, I know that you and I can probably talk about a whole bunch of different things, and I really appreciate you giving us some wisdom nuggets on health and wellness and sharing your story, especially because to me, when we share our story, we get to help others in the future generations by making them realize that you can change, that there's a way to not, you know what I mean? The way to heal and feel better and not just survive, because so many people are surviving. And I guess maybe because of what I do, that's what I do. Like I see a lot of people suffering, right? And so that's my paycheck, is when they go from surviving to thriving. And then now they're like, I've been in the sun today and I took my walk and I don't drink soda and I quit smoking pot. And
they're alive.
Yes. And they're alive.
Yes. So enjoying life and living.
Yes, because that's what God made everything, the entire planet for us to really enjoy. And we have to challenge the negative thoughts. I'm reading this book called One Truth. Gosh, I forgot his name. But he's talking about like we have 2 antennas, and you have the antenna to either pick up the bad or the antenna to pick up the good. And like in the Garden of Eden, that's exactly what started happening with bad. And I think that's like the soul and the spirit. Yes.
Soul is that flesh man who tastes good, feels good, more. And the spirit's like, no, we're in alignment with the big spirit, and we're not going to do those things that kill you.
And then that's when the ego has to be shut down, and you realize we're all connected. We're all connected. If we could just love and respect each other in a place where, this is why Galatians 3:28 is my favorite Bible verse in the whole wide world. No, there's neither Jew or Greek, male, female. We're all one in Jesus Christ. That's my version. Hopefully I didn't butcher it too much. Anyway, listen, Dr. Hazim, time is up. I know, But maybe
anytime could I tell one little thing?
Sure. You got 2 minutes.
I keep having these visions of when I was asked to speak at a vegan health retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, what am I going to tell these vegans?
Yeah.
They know everything already. They're what am I going to tell them? Drink more water.
Right.
And I really landed on talking about unforgiveness.
Okay.
And they did not see that coming. And I said, you guys would never eat McDonald's or Red Bull or any of this stuff, but do you have unforgiveness in your heart?
Whoa.
You had to see the tears, people coming up after. I said, it's like you ate or drank those things.
Yeah.
And that's why I love what you do. It's so, I don't want to say more important, that emotional aspect, but you cannot separate it.
No.
You cannot separate it. And when you look at the culture and what they're eating and drinking, it's a reflection of a deficit in their heart, in their spirit, and they're just masking it, filling it in some way.
They're trying to fill a hole. Right.
Yes.
And to me, the hole that only God could fill. And then it goes from there on. Yeah. Wow, telling vegans that, like you have finally had, exactly.
I'm not going to pretend I'm some, guru, very well read. Most of them,
they know. Yeah. Wow. And unforgiveness. Listen, for anyone listening, that is a hard place because, I have had to deal with that a lot with people that have been really spiritually, sexually, physically abused, emotionally abused. And I never go to that place, but that is one of the steps that they have to get to the other side.
How else do you?
No,
I went through all that kind of abuse, and the death of my parent, the family unit, and all that stuff. Yeah. And at the end of the day, forgiveness is for you.
Yes.
You take that backpack off, you're free now.
Yes.
And even asking for forgiveness from people.
Yeah.
That's such an important thing. Like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. So what?
Right.
Did that person leave your presence, your communication, your whatever, feeling bad about themselves and you?
Right.
If so, clear that up.
Yeah. I mean, that's biblical, by the way.
What does it hurt for you to say, you know what? I didn't mean it that way. Can you forgive me? Right. I should have chose a better word.
Right. It's humility. Yes, humility. And that's what we need more of, is understanding that we don't know it all.
Yeah.
First of all. And if you have pain, deal with it in a healthy way. Get a therapist, get a chiropractor, get a massage, get some healthy foods. Understand too, because sometimes we react to things because we don't have the right stuff in our body. Honestly, You're dehydrated a little bit, right? Or you
hangry.
Yeah, hangry, hungover, whatever it is. You have to be responsible for you.
Right.
And it takes some work and training, but you're not alone. So Dr. Hazim.
Now we'll really say goodbye.
Yes, now we're going to really say goodbye. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And hey, listener, just remember this. Trust in the Lord, guard your heart, and renew your mind. Bye.
Bye-bye.